Okay, real talk, you think Palpatine was scary? That wrinkly old dude who needed lightning fingers to fight a farm boy? He's basically a kindergarten bully compared to what I'm about to show you. We're talking about Sith Lords, so absolutely batshit insane that they ate planets for breakfast, turned death into their personal secretary, and made the laws of physics their own. These aren't your typical, join me and we'll rule the galaxy together villains. These are cosmic horror stories that somehow learned to use lightsabers. I'm about to blow your mind with Sith Lords so powerful they made the Force itself file a restraining order. Lords who were literally too angry to die. Reality-bending psychopaths who thought genocide was a fun Tuesday activity, and I'm starting with the Sith Lord who was so terrifyingly powerful that when he finally died, the planet he was buried on is still screaming 25,000 years later. The original monster? Ajunta Paul. When good Jedi go very bad. Picture your typical Jedi master. Wise, peaceful, probably smells like incense and good intentions. Now imagine that guy discovers something that makes him go, holy shit, I've been playing with toys this whole time. That's Ajunta Paul for you. This dude wasn't some angry young Sith throwing a tantrum. He was a respected Jedi master who accidentally stumbled onto the cosmic cheat codes. While his buddies were sitting around, meditating about balance and shit, Pal was in his basement literally creating new forms of life with his bare hands. Not cloning, not breeding, creating. Like, let there be horrifying spider monsters and boom, horrifying spider monsters. The guy looked at the fundamental building blocks of existence and said, you know what? I can do this better. And then he did. Here's where it gets absolutely mental. The Jedi Council found out about his experiments and basically said, Ajunta, buddy, maybe creating sentient nightmares in your spare time isn't very Jedi-like. So what did our boy Pal do? Did he apologize? Did he promise to stick to normal hobbies? He looked at the entire Jedi Order and said, you know what? Forget all of you, and started the most brutal civil war in galactic history. 100-Year Darkness wasn't called that because it was gloomy. It was called that because Paul and his buddies spent a century turning the galaxy into their personal torture chamber while the Jedi desperately tried to stop them. And here's the kicker. Paul lost that war. The Jedi kicked his ass and exiled him to the ass end of the galaxy. Should be the end of the story, right? Wrong. Because losing taught Ajunta Paul the most dangerous lesson in Sith history. You don't need to win battles if you can corrupt souls. On Korriban, this psychopath didn't conquer the native Sith species. He made them worship him as a literal god by showing them power so incredible that their primitive force abilities looked like a toddler's finger painting next to the Mona Lisa. And the absolute worst part, 25,000 years later, his spirit is still there, still whispering to anyone stupid enough to visit his tomb. Because Ajunta Paul figured out how to make death his friend, not his master. Every single Sith Lord after him learned from his playbook. The planet-eating psychopath, Vitiate, the thing that used to be human. Alright, buckle up buttercups, because I'm about to tell you about the most absolutely messed up being in Star Wars history. Picture a 10-year-old kid. Cute, right? Now picture that same kid casually committing genocide against 8 billion people because he was bored on a Tuesday. That's how Vitiate got started. Not Vitiate yet, little Tenebrae, who decided that his adoptive father's entire planet needed to die because he wanted to see what would happen. 8 billion people. A 10-year-old killed 8 billion people and absorbed their life force like some kind of cosmic vampire. And you know what the best part is? It worked. This little monster became so powerful that when the Sith Empire found him standing alone on a dead world, surrounded by 8 billion corpses, they didn't execute him for being a psychotic mass murderer. They made him their emperor. For 1,300 years, let that sink in. 13 centuries. This thing ruled from the shadows. Not because he was hiding, but because his mere presence would drive people insane with terror. Vitiate didn't just use the dark side, he became it. When he performed that ritual as a kid, he stopped being human and became something that was basically malice given form and a really bad attitude. Here's what makes me lose sleep at night. Every major war in galactic history for over a millennium was a psychopath pulling strings like a cosmic puppet master. The Mandalorian Wars, his idea. The Jedi Civil War, his manipulation. Every moment of suffering, every death, every broken dream, all feeding power to this cosmic horror show. I have had 1,000 names, ruled 100 worlds, lived 10 lifetimes. I am older than your civilization, older than your oldest legends. Vitiate stated, probably while eating a planet for lunch. And here's the part that'll really mess with your head. When heroes finally defeated him, they only killed one of his bodies. One. This dude had been secretly building entire civilizations in the unknown regions as backup plans. Vitiate didn't die. He just moved, like a cosmic cancer spreading to new hosts. He's still out there, somewhere in the darkness between stars, probably planning his next 1,000-year practical joke on the galaxy. The living apocalypse, Darth Nihilus, hunger given form. What happens when you're so hungry for power that you literally become hunger itself? Meet Darth Nihilus, the Sith Lord who looked at the concept of moderation and said, nah, I'm good. This guy wasn't born evil, he was born from evil. When the mass shadow generator went off at Malachor 5, it didn't just kill millions of people. It created a wound in reality itself that gained consciousness and decided it was really fucking hungry. Imagine being so empty inside that you could literally never be filled. That's Nihilus. An endless expanding void that could only keep existing by consuming other people's life force. But here's where it gets absolutely terrifying. He didn't drain people one at a time like some kind of civilized psychopath. This maniac could consume entire planets worth of force-sensitive beings in a single breath. Whole worlds just stopped. Not destroyed, not conquered, emptied. Billions of people suddenly forgetting they had ever been alive, wandering around like zombies until they collapsed and died. His hunger knows no bounds. He will consume everything. The Force itself feeds his endless appetite. Krya stated, and she was basically the galaxy's expert on things that should not exist. When Nihilus spoke, reality flinched. His voice carried so much power that weaker beings would just stop existing when they heard it. Not die, stop existing. Like they had never been real in the first place. Here's the really messed up part. Nihilus couldn't control this. He wasn't choosing to devour worlds, he was compelled to by his very nature. Imagine being so hungry that you accidentally eat your own friends, your own allies, your own apprentices. By the time anyone realized what he was, entire star systems had gone dark. Civilizations that had existed for thousands of years were just gone. Not even memories left because there was no one left to remember them. The Jedi exile who finally faced him didn't fight a Sith Lord, she fought the concept of entropy wearing armor and wielding a lightsaber. And even when she won, Nihilus proved that the dark side could create things so fundamentally wrong that they made death look like mercy. The patient dragon, Darth Krayt, the long game psychopath. What if I told you that one Sith Lord was so patient, so methodical, that he spent 150 years planning the perfect revenge, and it worked so well his empire outlasted every other government in galactic history? Meet Darth Krayt, the Sith Lord, who made waiting an art form. This maniac started as a Sharad Het, a Jedi Knight who survived Order 66 and spent decades fighting the good fight against the Empire. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of burning out like other heroes, he started paying attention. For 150 years, this guy watched. He watched the Republic fail, the Empire rise and fall, the New Republic struggle, and he came to one terrifying conclusion. Every government in galactic history was run by idiots. So what did Krayt do? Did he start another rebellion? Did he try to become a politician? Hell no. He decided that if you want something done right, you have to become an immortal dark side demigod and do it yourself. While other Sith Lords were throwing tantrums and shooting lightning at people, Krayt was building the most terrifyingly efficient organization in galactic history. No infighting, no backstabbing, no stupid power struggles, just cold, calculated progress toward total galactic domination. The Jedi's light burns bright and dies quickly. My darkness will endure forever, Krayt stated, probably while color-coding his 1,000-year plan. Here's what makes Krayt truly terrifying. When he finally revealed himself and conquered the galaxy, people were relieved. His rule actually worked. Planets that had suffered under corrupt republics and incompetent empires suddenly found themselves prosperous and stable. He didn't rule through fear, he ruled through competence, which is somehow way more disturbing than any amount of force lightning. The most messed up thing about Darth Krayt, he was probably right. His empire lasted longer than any other government and made more people happy than democracy ever did. When heroes finally brought down his empire, it took them a century and required sacrifices so enormous that half the galaxy wondered if the cure was worse than the disease. The master manipulator, Darth Sidious, the smiling devil. Here's why Palpatine is actually the most terrifying Sith Lord in history, and it's not because of his lightning hands or his crusty old face. It's because this dude convinced the entire galaxy to destroy itself, and they thanked him for it. Every other Sith Lord on this list had to use raw power to get what they wanted. Palpatine just talked to people. He smiled, shook hands, made promises, told everyone exactly what they wanted to hear. For 50 years, this psychopath studied every weakness in galactic civilization. Not military weaknesses, psychological ones. He mapped exactly how to make hope turn to despair, how to make love become hate, how to make good people choose evil. Think about what he accomplished. He made the galaxy's greatest peacekeepers lead a war. He made the Senate cheer as he destroyed democracy. He turned the Chosen One into his personal genocide machine. And he did it all while standing in plain sight, never once hiding his true nature, just making it seem reasonable. Good as a point of view, Anakin. 5 words that convinced a Jedi to murder children. 5 words. Here's what keeps me up at night. Palpatine didn't conquer the galaxy through force. He conquered it through consent. People chose to follow him into darkness because he made darkness seem logical, necessary, even noble. When his empire finally fell, it wasn't because anyone proved him wrong. It was because his apprentice chose love over power at literally the last possible second. Without that one moment of redemption, Palpatine's victory would have been absolute and eternal. And even dead, his influence continues. The First Order, the Final Order, the endless cycle of conflict that defines the galaxy, all of it traces back to systems he created. Because Palpatine understood the ultimate Sith secret. You don't need to live forever if you can make your ideas immortal. Horrible truth. Here's the pattern that should absolutely terrify you. Every single one of these Sith Lords transcended normal human limitations by embracing something most people won't even think about. Ajunta Pall transcended death. Vitiate transcended mortality. Nihilus transcended individual existence. Krayt transcended time. Palpatine transcended the need for honesty. They didn't just get powerful, they became something that normal beings literally cannot comprehend or predict. But here's the really messed up part. Every time the galaxy defeated one of these monsters, the heroes had to become a little bit like them to do it. The Jedi who stopped Ajunta Pall had to embrace warfare. The heroes who defeated Vitiate had to accept horrible sacrifices. The coalition that brought down Krayt had to abandon their principles. And Anakin had to become a Sith Lord himself to destroy Palpatine. Maybe the most terrifying truth about the Sith isn't that they're evil. It's that fighting them changes you into something that might be just as dangerous as they were. The dark side isn't just a power, it's a philosophy that says that the only way to protect what you love is to be willing to destroy everything else. And in a galaxy where that philosophy keeps winning, maybe the Sith already achieved their ultimate victory a long time ago. The Sith were powerful, yes. But the weapons they unleashed, they could destroy everything. Click on the video on your screen now.